Welcome to the NFP podcast, where we explore the empowering world of natural family planning. I'm Amy Smith. Join me and my co-host Emily Appledorn each week. Together, we're here to dive deep into the science, the stories, and the spirituality behind NFP. Every week, we push back against the free love culture and advocate for a culture of responsible love, where intentionality and respect are at the forefront of family planning. Join us as we discuss everything from the practicalities of charting and fertility awareness to the profound impact NFP can have on relationships and communities. Whether you're new to NFP or a seasoned pro, our podcast is your go-to resource for honest conversations, expert insights, and real-life experiences. So grab a friend, settle in, and get ready to be inspired. This is the NFP podcast.
Okay, sounds good. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, everyone.
Today, Emily and I just want to do a second part here. Probably won't be, too long. Plus, we've got to get our kids up in a little bit. But we wanted to finish up the reflection we were doing with Abbey Sharp and the interview on the book Infertility, because there were other things that they talked about that I just felt like, I feel like, Emily, we could just keep talking about this for days and days. But you and I enjoy talking about these things too. So, and I just feel like it's just so culturally relevant, this conversation around IVF and having a baby, and it's multifaceted. We talked a lot last week about the emotional aspect of it and just this, really highlighting this, this need to, as women, right, is to maintain reason over our emotions and our faculties and our decision making. And I think sometimes this conversation, Joey and I was talking to Joey about this a little bit, like, we almost like don't even touch this topic as far as you shouldn't do that, or you can't do that. We can't even say that because how dare you? Because the end is so good, right? Who are you to say that? And the end is so good, which I think is actually a beautiful thing, Emily, right? Like we do recognize like the end is so good, meaning the child.
Yes.
The child is such a gift and such a good. And when that's missing from a marriage, there's deep sorrow that comes from that. But left unchecked, right? And you and I both shared, and this is where I could, oops, my phone is ringing. It's funny.
I couldn't hear it.
Okay, good. That was loud on my end. But when left unchecked, and I think you and I both, right, have experienced this, our mind, you can become obsessive about it. It's all encompassing. It's the only thing you're doing and thinking about. And that's not good because there's a lot of other things happening in life that we need to be attentive to. And whenever we we risk making the child an idol, right? And forcing our will and our time. And then it just leads to chaos. And we know that chaos and the crazy, that's not of God. God is a God of peace. So all of these fruits that are born of the IVF path when struggling with infertility just scream, this is not of God. This is not of God. This is not of God. Because of the things that we talked about last week, right? Like, okay, well, now you got all these embryos. What are you going to do with these embryos? And you're going and you're getting all of these, all of these shots. Or in the case of this woman, let's talk a little bit about this. She has 2 kids that are 4 months apart, I think is what she said, or 3 months apart. And that's because she had used a surrogate. And then a few months after the surrogate got pregnant, she found out she was in fact pregnant. And
speaking of babies,
little man.
Good morning.
Say good morning. Oh. That she was in fact pregnant herself. And so a surrogate was pregnant with her and her husband's baby and carrying her baby. And then she was pregnant with her baby. So, oh, you're so cute. Gosh, I love first thing in the morning. Speaking of babies.
It's because you've been away from him for just a little bit.
I know. It's just like this soft little squishy.
Yes.
You're just so squishy. Okay.
Yes.
What was I saying, Emily?
You were
the surrogacy part of it. I mean, just how, yeah, I mean, really unnatural. It's one thing to have like Irish twins, where you have a baby and then
Right.
still some time, but yeah, I mean, it's basically like having twins. And oh, I remember this in the interview. They were talking, she was talking about this experience of having the surrogate with have the baby and her have the baby. And they called it like twibblings or something.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
both, kind of were laughing about how cute that is, that there's twibblings. And I kind of cringed a little bit, to be honest
I
with you. I
did
was like, no,
too.
that is, it's not cute. Like
This is
that's
not
not cute.
right.
That's not right. Yeah. So there's a balance, right, in talking about this of recognizing the heart. And as we're coming up on Mother's Day, I thought this is also an appropriate conversation for next weekend of like the heart of the mother desiring the child, right? That is so beautiful. And God sees that heart and he hears that pain, he is with you in that suffering and that desire. And we have to love our children, our future children, so much that we want to conceive them and birth them in a way that's that's twofold. That's optimally healthy, right? Like we also want optimal
Mm.
health outcomes in the physical sense of the whole conception, pregnancy, birth. And then the second, spiritually, we want to honor God and the the way he's designed for human beings to come into the world, which is through a profound act of love between the couple. So,
Right.
yeah, I think because this is such an emotionally charged topic, we don't kind of call out the evil and the disorder, which needs to be called out, especially amongst women, right? In our circles of like, hey, sweetie, like I know you want to do that, but I know you really want a baby, but I can't support you doing that. It's not good for you. It's not good for the baby. It's not good for your marriage. It's not good for our culture, right? That we're making people in petri dishes and then all these technologies that are now coming out, you can rent a uterus or can we make a uterus in science and implant a baby and have a machine grow the baby? I mean, it's
I feel like
just
that's where we're headed. Don't you feel it?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
Especially because to bring up a topic that they talked about, surrogacy is not legal in many countries. I had no idea. And then in some countries that it is legal in, you can't pay your surrogate. So it's like
right.
an act of altruism, which is like,
Right.
so, as we know, like the devil takes truth and he just twists it enough. So it's almost, there's a disguise, very easily. Just like you can easily get behind something like that, I guess. Like, oh yeah.
Okay,
Um,
I need to share a personal story about this.
ah,
Okay. So, we need a new couch. Okay. Like the springs were my one of my sons got scratched from our couch because the
okay.
spring was popping out the back. So Joey and I like to spend money differently, as I'm sure most couples experience this in their marriage. And I was like, as soon as I saw it, and I feel like our couch was it's got like fabric, right? It's not like a leather thing. So it's hard to clean with kids. I really did not like leather or faux leather looking couches because I thought this is ugly.
Kind of
And
cold sometimes.
yeah, and I'm like, no, I don't like this space. But the way that I've been decorating this space is very like kind of mid-century modern. I really love the clean lines and like, just minimal things. So the couch actually look really nice now. Okay, anyway, so I've been like researching, looking for this couch, and I thought, okay, I have to like approach my husband with like a case for the couch and like prices and all the. And now you just learn how to talk to your
Yes,
spouse, right? Okay,
yes.
so I knew how to approach the conversation, and we were in Florida, and I brought it up, and he's like, I really don't want to talk about this right now. I really don't want to do this right now. Can we wait till I get home? Well, we got home and I was still like kind of obsessing about getting this new couch, Emily. And I thought, you know what? So the way we do our budgeting, like we each get spending money every month. And I've just been saving like I save part of mine every month for a while now. So I've got like a good chunk in my little personal spending saving account. And I thought to myself, oh, well, what if he'll be home on Friday. It's Monday. I could just use my spending money to buy the couch right now. And then when he gets home, if he likes it, then we can just pay me back from the family account. I'm not kidding you, Emily. Like
You're
my
my
little mind, and this is the part, Emily, I saw it happening. I'm like, Amy, that's a little conniving. Like he asked you not to do it right now. But I convinced myself and I went on
Totally.
and I got it.
Oh,
Then
you
like
did.
I did, Emily. 3 hours later, I'm talking to him on the phone as I'm doing dishes and we're chatting. And I was like, oh, hey, sweetie. And I'm so grateful to God that it came up. Oh, yeah. So I found a couch and I went ahead and got it, but I used my spending money. So I figure, if like it doesn't work out or you don't like it, like, we'll just we can send it back or I'll just have bought it for the house like as a gift myself. Emily, it was ridiculous. And he immediately was like, Amy, I asked you not to do that. What are you doing? And he's like, what? And if I like it, I'll just pay you from the family account. Oh, Emily, it was so like shining the light on the lie, and on
Sure. Yes.
the manipulation. And I was like,
Yes.
you're right. And thanks be to God, it had only been a couple hours and I just went in and canceled the order
Yes.
completely. And I'm like,
Right.
and then he came home and we ordered a new one and we sold the one that we have. And anyway, so now it's like worked out fine. But I went to bed that night and man, my conscience, I was like, oh Lord, that was wrong. And what made it even more wrong was I could slightly see the
Yeah.
twisting of
The
it as it was
slippery.
happening. And it was like I just like, well, maybe I kept trying to justify it a
Right.
little bit like,
Right.
well, it is my money. Like I'm not using the money. He asked me not to use that money. Is that the
Right.
issue? Oh, Emily.
How
So anyway,
easy it is to just keep justifying because nothing that you just said is quote unquote bad in like
right,
societal terms. It's
right.
like, maybe it felt a little off, but like nothing is, you're not hurting someone, that's what you.
But that was my part at night when I was at night kind of praying. I I realized like that really upset, like that really hurt Joey. Like, Amy, I asked you not to do that, just to wait,
Hmm.
and you didn't do that,
Hmm.
um and then that I felt sad because I had hurt him and
Hmm.
hurt our relationship and
Hmm.
maybe just a little bit of trust. I mean, it sounds so simple, right? It's a couch, you could say, but like, but that's it. It's more the relational part of it that I think
Hmm.
is and me grabbing. That's what it was. It was like I
Right.
was told no, and I'm like, well, let me find a way to like get what I want when I want it.
Yeah, like a
So
teenager. That's what I think of,
right,
right?
like a
Like very
child.
much
Yes,
like, you know
that is
what?
me, people.
I
Yep.
went, no, I don't mean like you're a teenager, but
No,
I
it
just,
is.
I
Yes,
think of like a parent-child relationship, like kids
yes.
just trying, and they're not doing it out of spite
No,
or like they're just like trying to figure out a way because
right.
that's just what we do. I mean, it's a perfect example and lead in
Yeah,
example for this. Like that's what we do. It's a
yeah,
society that we have that if we want something, we just get it. Like generally speaking, you just buy it. And that's what we're in with this whole IVF culture. It's just like they're like babies are commodities. It's like really
right,
it's real we may not say that, but we do think that we can buy a baby. Um,
right. Well, because
you
people
know.
do.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Right.
You were saying something, or when you were talking about just kind of the beginning of this, and I don't remember in particular what you said, but it made me think of, when I was listening to the interview from this, I think her name is Kathryn Baum. I wrote that down. So she was the one that wrote the book and that's being interviewed. But, as someone that has struggled with infertility, I feel like I can say this, not that someone else couldn't say this because I think it's still appropriate, but in hearing these women talk, and I guess it's just a different perspective, but I think this could happen to any woman, even with a faith background, but it can sound very introspective, like inward, like you're turning your energy, like me. It's all about protecting myself and not putting myself in situations where I'm going to get hurt and saying no to a baby shower and pulling back from a friend, and that's okay because I'm protecting my mental health. And then this whole idea of like it takes more courage to quit. Like they did this whole conversation about if like if it's more courage, not they didn't use the word courageous, but like just to be able to say, it's better for me and my like ultimately it came down to mental health if I just quit this process and we have one kid and all. I'm not saying any of that is like bad, but I'm just using those examples as in a situation where you're trying to add to your family and like, expand your heart, so to speak, it can sound and appear just very like all encompassing, very selfish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
right.
it's just really sad. It's really sad. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure I struggled with things like that too. But I guess it's just the way that they're talking about it. And then also it came up about, different feedback that people offer women that are struggling. And this one, the author was just very, not, she said, not that misery loves company, but like the commiserating part was kind of helpful for her. And I'm just like, oh, Lord have mercy. Like, we need people to build us up. And don't get me wrong, we can both sit here. I could give an example immediately of just like silly things that people say, and to be able to know like they really do want what's best for you. They're not just saying these things to pacify you. They really think that whatever they're saying could help you, And so I don't
Like you
know.
need to relax or go on vacation or like
Yes.
comments that you get when you're struggling
Or
to conceive. Yeah.
Amy, I will never forget this. I always laugh about this. Literally, Emily, you know that all you have to do is have sex every day for a month, and then you're going to get pregnant. And I was just like, this person was dead serious. They wanted to help
Oh,
me. And I'm
Emily.
like, wow, okay,
Wow,
yeah.
you should come to an intro session because that's not how this works. That's
I was just
hilarious,
I was
Emily.
just like, oh wow. So anyways, like I said, people are trying to help and they mean well.
Right,
And you need people around you that are not gonna, I don't know. I'm not saying, mm, you know what? To be honest, so much of what we're talking about and the feelings that are felt, it really depends on where you are in your cycle. So much
right,
is so hormonal. And you have hope on one end of the month, and then you're despairing on the other end. Like it's just heartbreaking. It's really, really sad to see, um, to feel the struggles, to see other women struggling. And I just think sometimes I just didn't know why they didn't say sometimes saying nothing is the best. Like
right,
just being with the person. It's just like when there's a loss, right?
right,
Like friends show up, no one's expecting someone to have the perfect words or whatever. They're just there,
right,
like it's just to be with other people, not to commiserate, but just to love.
right. Yeah, so Kathryn, the author, was sharing about how she struggled with secondary infertility. She had a baby and then wanted to give this baby a sibling. And I remember, having a hard time conceiving after having a hard time conceiving the first time too. And I could relate a lot to some of the things they were saying. This like idea of a timeline. I don't want them to be too far apart. I'd like for them
We
to be
talked about
closer.
that, you and
Yeah,
I'll never forget that.
and then the time just kept going. And I was like, okay, well, then I kind of relate so much to what she was saying. And then you get to a point, it's like, okay, well, then I guess, we're a family of three. Like that's what we are right now. And, um, okay. And that's okay. And like, you just have to, there are times where you kind of have to self-talk because you realize, wow, I did have a lot of dreams and expectations and things that
Yes.
I wanted. And at some point reaching in the opportunity to let go of those, and that's where we talk a lot about having a strong spiritual component and knowing like that's right because God ultimately has the plan for this family and not me. And meanwhile, Joey and I would have to have lots of conversations about we're going to approach that. I really want to approach this in a measured way. And I wasn't always measured mentally or emotionally. Sometimes I was like, this is really hard or whatever it is. Or yeah, someone would say they were pregnant and I would feel a little like sad, but I recognized it and I was like, but I'm also happy for them,
Right.
both at the same time. Like I'm
You
still
could
so happy for
shift,
you.
yeah, you could shift your mentality.
Right.
You could
And
talk your
that's
self-talk, right? Like,
right. Right. And that's where I want to, this being a saint is like, yeah, I want to rejoice in someone else's rejoicing. I don't want to, wish ill things for them or be sullen and sad. And that's not going to help me feel good. And it's not going to, help this relationship with my friend either. Cause they know that I'm struggling with this. So it's probably hard for them to tell me this information too.
right.
Cause they do, in the interview, they kind of list out things that they don't want people to say to them. And then they list out things, they kind of almost give like tips of what you can do. And I
Right.
didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the tips because I feel like they were, like you said, Emily, a little more like introspective, like focusing too much on me. And as I've shared, like that just doesn't lead me to anywhere good. When
Right.
I'm in that space, it actually helps me to be outward looking as much as possible. Like, what can I be
Right.
doing for somebody else? How can I be supporting my friend? And always keeping in mind memento mori. Like, if I die today without a child, who have I still loved? Because my ultimate vocation is a vocation to love, no matter my state of life, no matter the number of children I have. Um, and the whole giving our children a sibling, siblings are great. Granted, I am so on the train of like one is harder than more because
Amen.
now having these guys, I'm like, oh my gosh, they play together. With Max, we were like his playmate. We were on a
One
lot.
is
That's why I would
so
go and
hard.
abduct my friends' kids who had like so many children. I'm like, hi, can I have 5 of your children to come out and go on a hike with us? Because that's a lot easier for me than just going on a hike with my son, because I would just be there to supervise safety and all the kids could be playing. So it was mutually beneficial for me and for friends, like, oh, this is great. You have some of my children, I get a little bit of a break, and you have my children, and so now your son has someone to play with. So anyway, the sibling blessing, I think, is so true. And sibling relationships are hard because relationship challenges meet you wherever you're at, in a family or not in a family. But yeah, it just presents a lot of opportunities again to be outward looking. Oh gosh, how can I be helping, serving, thinking of another, understanding another, right? Like this person is different from me. Even within a family, everybody has different temperaments, their approaches to things, the way they think about things are different. So that's a blessing too. So I get her desire to be like, wow, I would love for you to have a sibling. And she said she grew up in a family with 5 kids
Right.
and she has siblings and she loved the experience. So again, all good things. It's really, we're talking like the means to the end here is where we went
Right.
astray, and like,
Right.
yes, and maybe medically not getting the best advice, but it doesn't sound like she had other medical options. And so this was just, the doctor said, okay, well, let's do this IVF thing. Okay, that's not working. How about we try, surrogacy is an option. And I guess just never, a message never reached her about, corrective approaches, like trying to figure out why you're
Right.
having a hard time getting pregnant again. But then she did go on to get pregnant again a second time. Was it just a time thing? God's just taking his
Right.
time and doing it in
She
his
never
time.
elaborated on yeah, my guess was that she got pregnant naturally, but she never said that, so I don't know.
Yeah, because she described it as like, I'm not feeling well. You would think I'm pregnant.
Right.
And then sure enough, she was pregnant. So it sounded like, yeah, it just happened kind of organically.
And
And go ahead.
we don't know. Did she want to try to have twins? Yeah, I'd be presuming here, so I'm
Yeah,
not
I don't
trying
think
to.
it didn't sound
It
like
didn't
it. It
come
didn't sound,
across like that. It came across
no.
that she was very surprised, all the things. But the way she describes the first pregnancy is such that the baby was conceived the old-fashioned way. So I was
Isn't
just
it funny how we say that nowadays, Emily? I was like the old fashioned way. Because I've said that before too. And I was like, yeah, it is so funny that we refer to that as like the old fashioned way, as if like
right.
technology is the new, great,
Yeah,
better
the new
way,
norm. Yeah.
Yeah, the new norm, right? Which
Yeah.
is still not, thanks be to God. The norm is still the old fashioned way. But
Yes.
I just thought
Yeah.
that language was
Yeah.
really kind of funny. So
I wanted to add to what you were saying about who you've loved, if you died today, like who did I love? I was just recently told this weekend about, and I don't remember the saint who said this, and maybe many saints have said this actually, now that I'm saying this. Um, but the best way to combat jealousy or envy is to do charitable acts, not think
hmm
them or, whatever. It's to do them. And so I just think that that's a perfect example of, how can I like shift this energy the way I'm feeling? Like, yeah, I don't know. A lot of times I'll just think, I'll pray for them. I'll try to change my feelings and like offer a prayer or something like that. But you know what? It's more it's more meritorious if I can do something. And
right,
even for that person that you're jealous of or
right.
envious of, maybe, but that can also get twisted. Like golly, so many things. I'm just thinking about like if a friend that was struggling with infertility, like, oh, let me throw you a baby shower, or something. That
Yeah,
could put yourself
that's what
in
I was
like,
thinking.
it could be really beautiful, but that could also be I don't know. I think you have to know yourself, and I don't know. I have lots of thoughts of I just am like depend
Yeah.
situations, I don't know.
I think there's time and space to have a healthy emotional response where you're like,
Yes.
I'm sad, and for whatever reason, and sometimes it could hit you out of the blue, right? People will tell you they're
Yes.
pregnant, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and
Yes.
then all of a sudden, it's like the fifth person to tell you, you just break down in tears,
Yes.
and you have a moment, and that's totally normal. Like you're going through
Yes.
something that's hard, and you have a strong desire for something. Like we're not
Yeah.
saying it's not okay to feel sad, and you just gotta kind of like get over it, girls, and like
Right.
put on this
Right.
false
No.
facade. But we do need to be cognizant that we're not getting into this emotional yuck, and
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
self-pity pool and then
Yes.
having a hard time getting out of that. And now we're just caving in, just be wary of caving in, be wary of friends and relationships that, support the caving in
Yes.
and, yeah, and making having a child be the be all end all goal of everything in your life at the moment. Now, that being said, you do, when you're going through infertility, if you're having to go for ultrasounds, if you're having to take medicines and you're doing these things, like it is something that's on your mind more because you have to follow a timeline, you have doctor's appointments, you have things like that. So, that was something that, yeah, just Joey and I had to talk a lot. And I talked to you, Emily. I talked to other, I had a close knit group of people where it was like, okay, like we're doing these things, but I always felt like I wanted to keep, my marriage first and foremost, and like balance and sanity was the main priority through the process. And so we were always like, well, that's why we're not going to do like the crazy extremes because that's going to make me crazy and extreme. So let's just
Right.
do the next right thing. And the next right thing is charting one day at a
Yes.
time.
I always say
And
that.
yeah,
Yes. This
working
is
with
the
my
next
doctor.
right thing.
Yes, just chart my pattern, work with my doctor, go get the blood draw, then listen to the direction, have a conversation, just do it very measuredly, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, to me, that just would breed a lot more sanity. And I think this conversation, I realized it this morning, I'm like, yeah, it's Mother's Day this Sunday. I am definitely, it's probably not surprising to anyone based on this conversation, the one we had last week, but it never helped me. And I'm definitely not one to kind of support the whole, oh, it's Mother's Day. Let's like not celebrate our children and the fact that we're mothers because some people who want to be mothers aren't mothers and they're going to be sad if they see you being a mother. Again, that's not going to help me. Like that would not
No.
help me if when I was in that situation, like, no, celebrate. You are a mother, a physical mother. You have been given the gift of motherhood. Praise God, that's awesome. And
Yes.
that's the mentality we want to have. That's what I would encourage someone. If I was in that interview, that would be the advice I would say. Is like when your friend is a mother and pregnant and has a baby, be there to help her because she needs help. It's also
Yes.
it's not easy. And celebrate her for doing the job she's doing and just rejoice in their rejoicing because that's going to make you feel better ultimately. If you want to change your feelings, celebrate with the other person, do something to
Yes.
help and offer that gift. Celebrate your mom, be a good friend to somebody. Find a child that maybe you can offer to babysit, do something like that, and then you can share your motherly gifts with them because all women are called with those motherly gifts to give to the world. And so anyway, I feel like that would be a good way to enter into the season and the holiday
Yes.
of Mother's Day is remembering like even if you don't have children your own, you still have the grace and gift of motherhood. So wherever God's put you, maybe to self-assess like how well am I using my motherly call to nurture and care and give of myself to the other because that's really what motherhood is. It's a constant giving. And then say a little prayer of gratitude because you get to sleep through the night.
That's
You can
true.
offer up your suffering but also be grateful for those little things that that yeah, having children, it's more demanding and you don't get certain things certain times. So,
Definitely.
um
Definitely. I
yeah.
would like to say something that I did love them talking about was um okay, so it was not them. This was in the second video. This was in another video that we've referenced about the Q&A that Abby Sharp had done on her
So after
YouTube.
Abby got pregnant and had a baby, she did like a little or is pregnant. She did like a little Q&A. Yeah, that's the second video we had talked about. Okay.
I loved her talking about telling people early about the pregnancy. And she said her husband's really private, so she didn't let it out like publicly until a certain time frame, but within her close circle of friends, she was telling people. And she said, I never regretted, or I never thought like that I would regret telling somebody if in fact we did lose that baby. And I loved that because her take on it was if I lost the baby, then it would just bring up more conversations around this topic, which she felt like was necessary for the situation, just for infertility in general. It would allow for more people to be talking about it, which was like her goal. I would say, as opposed to that, the telling people early, you're hopefully, if you're asking for prayers, you're gaining more prayers early on. And then if you did lose that baby, you have that many more people praying for you as opposed to that feeling of loneliness. You're going to feel alone regardless if you have a loss, obviously. But if there are people that know ahead of time that you were pregnant and then you do mention, we ended up losing this baby, there's so much that is understood in those moments that doesn't even have to be explained like, oh, I'm going through this loss, but I never even told you I was pregnant. I'm not saying everyone has to tell everyone they're pregnant immediately. I'm just saying don't be fearful of doing that because if these are people that you trust, then you should hopefully also be able to trust in their prayers for you, regardless of the outcome of this baby and this pregnancy?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I know
liked that
people
she
who,
was encouraging to share early.
yeah. Yeah. I know that's such a challenging thing because, yeah, people feel so strongly,
Mhm.
differently about like, I'd like to tell because it recognizes the life
Right.
and,
Yes.
and we do believe that life begins at conception and that's, so important to recognize. And yeah. And for others, it's, well, I don't want to tell them because then every time I have to untell them, depending on when I see people, that's really
Right.
hard. Then I relive
Right.
the disappointment. So yeah, I get that too. And maybe it's just a matter of like telling like a close circle, right? Like I
Exactly.
tell my
People you
family,
trust.
tell,
Yeah, I'm not saying you have
right.
to just
To
because it's
air it
kind of
to
like,
everyone.
yeah, throwing your pearls to swines. Like this is something that you value and care. Like you're so, this is everything to you. You're not just gonna go tell, everybody, but people that you
Right.
really trust, don't be afraid to tell them.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that
Yeah.
was it. It was kind of the only thing. I mean, just to make sure we're guarding our heart, when we're going through this process of fertility, being cognizant of our own expectations, of how much control we have, and then the need to seek health, right? Like corrective care, and knowing that even when we seek corrective care, God is still the giver of life. And so he might say no, have a different plan. We never know. But if you're
Right.
seeking health, if you're seeking healthy ovulatory cycles, and you're charting and you're having diagnostic work done up that's cooperative with your body, you can be confident that you are pursuing a child in the most healthy way, both spiritually and physically. Your health outcomes are going to just be ideal all around. Um, flinging back at me. So yeah, that would be my, kind of my final encouragement is if you are struggling with infertility this Mother's Day and whether it's secondary or primary infertility. Sorry. I wanted to say that one thing. She also shared about, having a baby and then feeling guilty for wanting another baby. Kathryn did. I can relate to that. Like, oh, well, or having a baby and then you're struggling with like, okay, this baby's waking me up a lot and then demands of parenthood and you find yourself starting to complain about it. It's like, oh, I shouldn't be complaining because now I have a baby. Like, don't do that. Do not play that game. Like,
Right.
don't play that game. No.
Right.
Don't let anybody in the world or quote unquote friends make you feel bad because they don't have a baby yet. You do have a baby and you're having a hard time with like the baby's not sleeping and you're having a hard
Right.
time nursing or whatever it is. Like, no, that's just the reality of the season of life you are now in.
And
And it's normal.
yeah, don't think you have to go through postpartum alone because
Right.
you could very easily talk yourself into, if you're feeling feelings of depression or anxiety postpartum, you could very much just kind of um, halt trying to get help because you could turn that into like, well, this is just normal, I wanted this and all this stuff. And no, there is help postpartum for just about anything.
Right.
Obviously, some women can't do things like nursing and, that sort of thing. But in regards to sleepless nights, feeding your family, like people will bring you food. People, people want to help you. And don't be
Right.
afraid to ask for help if you're
Right.
struggling physically, mentally, all those things. There's help for that.
Yeah, don't be a false martyr. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
But
it.
that's
That's it.
it's just silly to think like, oh, well, it's wrong for me to want to have another baby after I already have a baby. Like I have my baby, now I just have to get, I have to get to the back of the line behind all the women that don't have
Right.
babies before I
Right.
can try to ask for another one. It's like, no, that's not no, we
Right.
don't
But
operate in
once
that world.
again, when you think of it as buying one, that makes
Right.
sense, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
it's just like a car. I just got a new car. I better not get another one because
Right.
everybody else needs one too. Like,
Right.
no,
Right.
this, I
Yeah.
mean, but it's so easy to, man, just really just slowly slip into that.
Yeah. Well, and
Oh,
because it's not healthy emotionally. Like I remember that feeling like guilty, like, oh gosh, I'm sorry, Lord, like you did give me a baby and now I'm just wanting another baby. It's like, that's great. Like that's so
right.
great. We don't
Right.
want it to get like, again, go off the deep end in the disordered way, but to, yeah, have a desire. I mean, God gives us our desires, guys.
God
Like,
loves our desires.
right,
He
it's
loves
the enemy
them.
that distorts and twists and
Mhm.
he doesn't create anything. He just brings everything he just brings disorder to everything.
Right.
Because he's not God and that really makes him upset.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, it was just one thing that I remember her saying I could relate to of like, yeah, this feeling of guilt that like, oh gosh, I wanted to have another baby, but I already have my baby. It's like that's not rightly ordered thinking
Mm-mm.
either. So, yeah,
Mm-mm.
entering into Mother's Day, let's just all be grateful for where we are with our current family size, on the journey he has us. If you are struggling with infertility, we'll list a lot of great resources in the show notes. If you haven't reached out for help and considered using fertility awareness methods and NFP and working with restorative reproductive medicine or NAPRO technology, there are a lot of great options out there. And so
Yeah.
just prayerfully, gently pursuing those. And I don't know, Emily, if you would agree with this too, but I think there's also an option to be like, if you're so emotionally entrenched in this and it's kind of sent you off the deep end, maybe, yeah, taking some time to like take a break. And they talked about that in their interview. They called it, quitting or whatever. I don't know
Yeah.
about that, but I've definitely
Right.
experienced along this journey this, you know what, we're not gonna do all the things right now. Like
I
I'm
think
just
it's
gonna keep
healthy.
charting. Yeah, like because it's a lot sometimes. Again, you
Yeah.
got to go to the doctor's appointment, get the ultrasound, taking medicine. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna take a break this cycle.
I'm
And
always encouraging if someone is thinking about that. Like that's very it's normal to take a break. It's
yeah,
normal.
just take a break. And by take a break, we mean just have regular intercourse and
Yeah,
just
just
not be,
pause
yeah, whatever the treatment
all the
is or
extras if
all
it
the
feels
extras. Exactly.
easier.
Yeah, all
Hmm.
the extras. Just take a break and come back to it if you feel called and ready. Um, and yeah, I think that's kind of a healthy way to reassess, regroup, and then, come back to it. Talk to your spouse,
Right.
all those good things. So yeah,
Right.
let's shoot for that. I'm gonna shoot for that this Mother's Day is to be extremely grateful for where I'm at and think of all the women who are struggling to conceive. Emily, I wanted to tell you too, because I know you
Yeah.
guys would love to have another baby.
Yes.
So this is for people that aren't listening. Emily and I were having a conversation in the morning, like my kids have water bottles and I get them like filled up and I have to do breakfast. And I was telling Emily, like, I loathe filling up their water bottles every morning. I feel like it takes so much time to do these stupid water bottles. And and my oldest son could totally do it himself, but he sometimes gets distracted when he's doing it and then it goes everywhere. So then
Yeah.
I'm actually more irritated. Now I have to clean up water as opposed to me just filling up the water bottle. Anywho, I was bemoaning this one day to you, right, Emily? And then it
Yes.
occurred to me, and I was like, you know what? We were talking about offering because you're a better person than me. You're about offering things up. And I was like, I'm going to offer up my water bottle filling for Emily.
Oh my God.
And so I've been doing it for you, my dear.
I think you texted me that you were going to do
I've
that.
been offering
Yeah.
you my Hail Marys. I did again this morning.
So
I was like, and
sweet.
now it's helped me. I still can't say I'm enjoying filling up the
Of
water bottles,
course.
but I am enjoying saying some Hail Marys for you,
So sweet.
for
I
your
can't thank you
intentions, you and
enough. That
Josh.
is
And
so
yeah.
sweet.
So anyway,
Thank
I just
you.
wanted to share that because I was like,
Yes.
so wherever you're at, offering your
Yes.
prayers, offering your sufferings and your joys, for women who are trying to conceive and whether a first time or a second time or a third time, or women who are
Thanks.
miscarrying, whatever their their journey is, that we can all accept God's plan for us today, trusting He sees our heart and He loves us like a father, and will bring about, the gift of motherhood that He's given all of us as women. So
Thanks be to God for our faith and understanding just the essence of the body of Christ, right? Nobody's
right,
suffering is in vain. Don't
right.
you want to offer that suffering, even if, yeah, lots of ways to do that.
Yeah. And to be praying for women as they're discerning their vocations as well. Just there's so many things to be praying for. So many things.
Yes.
Mothers who are estranged from their children, whose children don't talk to them, who are struggling with sick children. There's just, there's so much that we do not need to be caving in on ourselves. So much
Yes.
in the world that we can be
Yes.
looking outward.
Yes.
So that will be our goal. So I will link to, and we'll pray for Abbey and I'll pray for Kathryn. Another thing too, I just thought about this actually. We're talking about like praying, like, I'll be praying for conversion, of our
Yes.
hearts too, that we will be rightly ordered in our desire for healthy fertility, and that this disorder will be abolished, and ask our Blessed Mother to just kind of cover all of that.
And I often think for the courage, once someone knows the truth, to actually pursue the truth,
For
because
sure. Amen.
you're
Yeah.
on this path, and if you get convicted, it's still easy to keep going on the same path,
For sure. Hence the couch having to
Hence the
return it.
couch. Hence the
Yes, hence the
couch.
couch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Embryo is a lot harder to return. So let's pray
Yeah.
that stops beforehand. But
Yeah.
yeah, guilty. I understand the desires. So yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
All right. I'm going to go get the
Happy
little
Mother's
people.
Day.
Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Yeah. Bye, Emily.
Bye.
That wraps up another episode of the NFP podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found our discussion enlightening and empowering. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please connect with us by sending us an email with your questions and stories to thenfpshow@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with more insights, tips, and heartfelt conversations about natural family planning. Until then, love responsibly.